Picture this. You are standing in the middle of a cold medieval town square. The air smells like smoke, mud, and fear. People are not gathering for a festival. They are gathering to watch punishment. In the medieval world, justice was not quiet. It was loud. It was public. And sometimes, it was so brutal that death was almost the merciful part. When people hear the words medieval punishment, they often imagine a dark prison cell, a few chains, maybe a harsh judge. But the truth was much worse. Because medieval punishment was not only about pain. It was about humiliation. It was about control. And most of all, it was about sending a message to everyone watching. Do not even think about stepping out of line. And if that sounds extreme, well, medieval Europe was not exactly famous for calm problem solving. 1. The incident. Punishment was a public spectacle. The first shocking thing about medieval punishment is this. It was meant to be seen. Punishment happened in town squares, in marketplaces, in places where ordinary people lived their daily lives. This was not hidden behind walls. It was part of the social order. If someone stole, lied, betrayed the crown, or broke religious rules, punishment was often turned into a public event. Not because the law wanted privacy, because it wanted fear. The pain of one person became a lesson for the crowd. In other words, medieval authorities did not just punish crime. They advertised consequences. 2. The process, how brutal it actually was. Now let's talk about the punishments themselves. Some were designed to injure. Some were designed to shame. And some were designed to do both at the same time, because apparently cruelty was more efficient that way. Trial by ordeal. In some cases, people had to prove innocence through pain. They might carry hot iron. They might be thrown into water. They might be forced into an ordeal where survival itself was treated like evidence. The logic was simple and terrifying. If God saved you, you were innocent. If not, then the court considered the matter settled. That means your legal defense was basically, good luck. The pillory. Then there was the pillory. You were locked in a wooden frame in public, unable to protect yourself, while people insulted you, laughed at you, and sometimes threw things at you. This was not just punishment. This was humiliation turned into entertainment. Imagine social media hate, except in real life, with vegetables frying up, drawing and quartering. For treason, the punishments became far more horrific. A person could be dragged, hanged, cut down, mutilated, and dismembered. The body itself became a warning. This was the state saying, if you betray us, even your death will not be enough. That is not justice in the modern sense. That is fear made physical. Pressing. Some people who refused to plead in court were subjected to pressing. Heavy weights were placed on the body, again and again, until the person either entered a plea or died. Imagine a legal system so brutal that silence could crush you. Literally. Direct. And of course, there was torture. Direct stretched the body until joints dislocated. It was used to force confessions or information. So if you ever thought modern bureaucracy was stressful, at least nobody solved paperwork disputes by pulling your limbs apart. 3. The evidence, why it felt even worse than we imagined. What made these punishments truly horrifying was not only the pain. It was the full experience. You suffered in public. You lost dignity in public. Your fear became a show for strangers. And medieval people understood exactly what it meant. Punishment was theatre. The crowd was part of the process. The shame could last longer than the injury. The thief might survive, but everyone in town would remember. The traitor might die, but the body could still be displayed as a warning. The suspect might not even be properly proven guilty in the modern sense. Yet pain came first, and mercy usually arrived very late, if at all. That is why medieval punishments feel worse than we expect. Because they attack the body, the reputation, and the mind at the same time. They did not just ask, how do we punish this person? They asked, how do we make everyone else afraid too? So what is the real lesson here? Medieval punishments were worse than people think because they were not only about justice. They were about power. They turned suffering into a message. They turned pain into public policy. And they reminded people every single day that the law was something to be feared, not trusted. Looking back now, it is easy to call the medieval world cruel. And in many ways, it was. But it also teaches us something important. Society becomes dangerous when punishment matters more than fairness. When fear matters more than truth. And when people stop seeing the human being behind the crime. History is not only about kings, battles, and castles. Sometimes, it is about what people were willing to do in the name of order. And honestly, after hearing all this, a parking ticket simply feels like very generous invention. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more dark, strange, and unforgettable history, and tell me in the comments.